Hey folks, welcome to the second episode of Couch to Trails with Jasper's progress from non-runner to a trail runner. First, quickly thank to the sponsor of this episode, which is the WordMatch.run, which is a trail training application built by Snap Technology that helps people to find the right climbs to climb on to preparation for their trail race. So Jasper, you went to a running store, yeah?
Yeah, so I'm doing like all classic couch to sports guys do. They start with the equipment, right? So from last week was fantastic. It really framed kind of the journey where I'm going to head. The equipment is kind of starting simple, I think, simple enough. So there are three things I actually bought this week. So shoes, that was yesterday. I got the headphones, the skulls? No, yeah.
Shocks,
Thanks. Shocks, headphones. And then just a running shirt. That's nice. It. That's going to get me going. So yeah, the shoe experience was good. I was really surprised. Learned a lot. Kind of set me up. The right shop, the right people kind of set me up to take the next step, I think.
By my experience, running stores, that they businesses, they try to sell you stuff, but they also like the hobby and they really, they care.
Yeah, it was really obvious from the beginning that the shop assistant, she was clearly a runner. She was kind of relaxed about it, but enthusiastic, really good balance. And that made a difference than somebody who's kind of doing it just for a job.
Yeah, that's the difference between going to a department store or a sports chain or something like that to going to a running store.
That's it. Well, you kind of get welcomed into the hobby. I think that's the thing is like, I know that for a lot of people, it goes beyond hobby into something a bit more serious. But at the beginning, it's got to have that appeal that you're kind of welcome in. And beyond the shoes, there was kind of good conversation. I actually told them about kind of how my introduction from last week and kind of how you're getting me up and running and that sort of stuff. So yeah, they're pretty cool to want to help. Yeah.
And also, there's no entry kind of level requirement. They are very welcoming to new people. Right. Of course, they want new clients, but that's what I was afraid. There's certain hobbies that if you go to a specialist store, they kind of look down on you if you're not knowing what to do. But this, by my experience, the one Absolutely. I use in Munich is called Laufbar, which is a firstly good name for the store, but they also had a similar experience. I haven't been the one that I sent you to, but.
Yeah, so this one's called the Run Company. Just show a photo of that. And it's not a big chain of stores. I think that's also kind of cool. There's one near where I live, and then there are a couple sort of in UK cities kind of not that far away from me. So they're not nationwide, but it feels kind of like a store built out of passion rather than built out of just sort of selling shoes. So that was kind of cool. So I would say the thing that surprised me most, Johanni, was the technology that went along with it. So I don't know how it is in the store you go to, but this one, just measuring the feet was something I've never experienced before. So probably you and I growing up all those years ago probably had these kind of plastic things that measured your feet and they kind of have like a sort of a measure that go across the top and yeah, this sort of thing, right? This sort of thing, exactly. So there was none of that, nothing like that. You could see, I'll show you a video of that. Mm-hmm. Basically, it's a machine. You stand on the machine. It has kind of cameras, I guess. It looks and measures where your feet are. It figures out the width of your feet. I think it does a little bit of figuring out the arch of your foot. So all of that sort of stuff. So you really have a complete measure. Actually, they sent me the details of my foot measurements, which I'll share with you. We can put it in here. So that was really cool. Even that experience alone was a great start.
Especially like nerds like us, it's a cool thing, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And then there's a bunch of questions and that took me through, and yeah, so that's kind of cool. And that also gives me a reference, right? If I need more shoes or whatever, I can now take that with me, even if the next store doesn't have something.
So what did you end up buying for shoes?
So I tried a few different pairs on. Here, let me grab them. So I ended up buying a pair of shoes from this company here. Got the Vibram soles. They're very much more for trail running. We tried quite a few on with really kind of thick soles, especially at the back. And the weird thing is that although they were kind of nice to stand in, actually when there was a running treadmill to test on, these actually just came off better. I mean, I think I'm kind of not used to big, thick padded shoes anyway in my normal day to day. In fact, I'm not wearing any shoes today. So I kind of like to have a feeling a bit closer to the ground. So that's what I got. Super light.
Yeah.
I'm surprised how light they are. And yeah, I'll be giving them a go later today.
Nice. Look good as well.
Yeah, I mean, I went in there saying, listen, I don't care about anything visual, right? I'm just like, as a kind of a starting point, I think the criteria I had were they have to be functional. There was a lot of technical parts that the shop assistant was doing to make sure that they're the right shoe, and I could talk about that in a minute. But for me, as a starting point, this is not going to be the last pair of shoes I ever buy.
Right.
All right. And hearing your stories, this is probably going to be one of many pairs of shoes I'm going to buy over the years.
Unfortunately.
So I'm not going to get too worried and obsessed about this pair.
Yes.
But they've got to kind of get me started, low fuss, just whatever feels good. Even if I can't describe what the feeling was, which I really struggled to sort of say what it was that made this one feel better than the other one. But that's it. You know, just go with something simple to start with.
It's a good way to start. You won't really know in the store anyways. You will know maybe in a couple of weeks in the trails if it's good or not. And the next pair you might want to try a different brand to get a little bit more, wider skates. So I first bought Hoka, which is famously very kind of big cushion maximalist shoes.
Right.
And I then bought Ultra, which is exactly in the other end, which is the kind of minimalist. And Ultra used to be no longer, but it used to be this kind of zero drop thing. So zero drop means that the heel is on the same level as toes, so there's no drop at all. It's closer to this kind of natural thing, whatever. That's not really there's not a lot of value in that. But me, I wanted to try, and I ended up actually running most of my runs in the Ultras. I run all my Ultra marathons in the Ultra shoes because they're very wide and they're very flat, and I feel very stable in them. I feel very comfortable in them. But I have a couple of pairs of Hokas. I now shifted to the brand called Craft from Sweden, but I have a couple of much more cushion shoes. So I rotate between a lot of cushion and not a lot of, so kind of change around a little bit. They have multiple different things, and especially once after a race, I tend to run in a very kind of heavy cushion shoes for a couple of weeks to lower the impact. However, there doesn't seem to be huge amount of science behind maximalist shoes actually lowering the impact force. But I feel better in them, and that's the one thing that matters to me.
I think this is probably going to be the interesting part of the journey where I can see myself getting really sucked into the science and the data to the point where that becomes the focus. It's a kind of a classic thing that I kind of do. I kind of end up getting the whole world around the thing becomes the area of interest rather than the thing itself. So I'm trying not to do that this time. I'm trying to kind of, again, keep it simple. To be honest, I didn't even think in the store about where these shoes are made. I mean, I don't even know where this brand comes from. If I was to guess, I would say France.
Sounds very French.
Yeah, it looks like a French word, this Saucony. Maybe it's French. I don't know. I would have to look it up. Peregrine 60. I don't know. I'll have to. But it didn't bother me at the time. I think going in with too many criteria, essentially what I'm trying to do here is reduce the friction points to get me up and into the hobby. So that's part of it.
Saucony is an American shoe brand from 1910.
Okay,
so
there you
they've
go.
been around for a while.
There you go.
Maybe it was started by French people.
The other thing, Johanni, that was kind of cool is, okay, they had a treadmill and they did this thing of videoing running on a treadmill. So this new to me, probably standard stuff for you. She took not some measurements, video of my leg movements. And again, I'll share a video with you of that, which was also pretty interesting because she clearly knew a lot about, I mean, she wasn't not in a medical sense, but a lot about the body mechanics when it comes to running, right?
Yeah.
And so she was able to say, yeah, that's kind of normal. my foot's a little bit wider, but not by much. Then, but there's one thing that actually I said to her sort of starting out is that my right foot has got this kind of thing going on with it. So I think this comes from too much time in the car. Well, maybe I can show it with my shoe. So when I'm in the car, the foot that sits on the gas is kind of rotated, right? Rotated out this way. And because I used to drive 3-4 hours a day, and I would spend a lot of time with my foot kind of propped in the corner like that. And I think over time, it's kind of created this weird twist in my foot. And it's super interesting seeing me run because let me get the other shoe.
Yeah, you guys have gas pedal next to the door, right?
Same though. It's like gas to the right.
But you have gas in the middle, and you have gas next to the door, right? Because
that's true.
Same order,
that's
but
true.
a different side. Yeah, it's kind of interesting.
But I think it would be the same problem even if I was on that side of the car. And so what happens is as I'm running, my right foot is twisted out a little bit. There's a fancy term she used to describe it. So you can either twist it in or twist it out. So it's twisted out just a little bit. So that's something that we'll look out for. She gave the same advice that you did, is like, don't worry about it too much. Maybe some strength training at the beginning will help the body just correct it a bit. But that's something we'll maybe monitor over the coming weeks.
It's something that if you start to feel uncomfort in it, then physio training, like going to somebody who's actually a medical professional, then you get right kind of training. They will prescribe strength workouts for you. And that will truly help.
So that might be an item we look at. But it wasn't off enough for her to kind of be like, eh. And there wasn't any correction that she was kind of thinking about with the shoe. So that's kind of cool.
That's good. Then it's just running.
Then it's just running. And then the last thing maybe I wanted to talk about was I guess I know what you call it, the insoles, the bit that's here, right? So she took me to this. She was very relaxed, not trying to sell me stuff actually. So I really, it's more likely that I'll go back to that store and buy more stuff from that store because she wasn't trying to sell me stuff. So that's kind of interesting. But she gave me the experience of having molded insoles. So you must have tried this. They heat them up, you stand on them, and it molds to your feet. Super comfortable. I thought they were kind of cool until the price was, it's at least another 50% of the cost of the shoe just for the insole. And I figured at this point, probably overkill. I should kind of get up and running, literally running first. And then, if in a few weeks I kind of think, okay, those could help me, then I can go back and do this again. But I thought for the start, there's probably over-optimization.
Maybe, yeah. I think I'm in a little bit in an opinion that less is more. It's better to get your feet used into a little bit evolutionary. We used to run without any shoes. Naturally, we can't do it just out of the right now because we gotten used to shoes. But there's physically nothing preventing us becoming stronger again in our feet and in our legs. Yeah, so it's really cool. It's good you had a good experience. There's a good store nearby. Yes, there tend to be these for other beginners. I really encourage the experience of going to specialist running stores. They are very often run by people who do care, and of course, while they are businesses, they know as well. You come back if you have a good experience. The department store, shoe department, you might get good shoes there, but nobody will care about you at all. The start is very different.
And I think that the price of the shoe might be a little higher than you'd get if you go to a kind of normal sports store, but not that much higher, I don't think, these days. I mean, everything's, the brands that people want to have on their feet are super expensive. So I think that was kind of cool. I would also encourage that. I was to be honest, a little nervous going in, meaning I was totally out of my depth and I was like, I know nothing. I was joking with you yesterday. I was joking with you yesterday that I even kind of got out of breath testing the shoes in the store. Yeah. But actually, it was worth doing it. I would also echo what you said: is like go to a proper running store. If they're not cool, then go to another store. Yeah. But definitely do that. If you go to a regular sports store, you're just not going to get nowhere near the support and insights and understanding.
Cool. That's a good start. I have a couple of things I wanted to talk to you about, like as the next steps, what to do next. And let me share this one again. I've made slides. So the topic I wanted to talk to you about is continuum, exactly what you're doing now. Basically, we talked last week how to get started and what is the kind of the workout you should be doing, what is the feeling you should be doing when you do running for the first time. And this time I wanted to talk a little bit about how to keep going. What is the approach to actually making it into a habit rather than one of trying things. Of course, I have some stuff that I recommend you buy again. So you can go back to your store.
Yeah, I'm going to try really hard. I mean, the classic hobby is you start off with the equipment. So I'm trying hard to keep that to a minimum.
I think there's nothing urgent at the moment. Let me click here. Here's the kind of the topics. There's a couple of myths that keep popping up whenever I talk to beginners, kind of comes in then. And I want to talk about the consistency. I want to talk about health, weight. A lot of people start running because they want to lose weight. Some bad news there, some good news there. And in general, food. And then I wanted to go back to cross-training, what you were bringing up last time, a little bit like nothing in deep and just like a mention what the cross-training in general can be. Couple of myths that I wish people knew about. Running doesn't actually destroy your knees. It is very possible to get injured while you do running, but that's avoidable most of the time by ramping up very, very slowly. Generally, there's a very good scientific background of scientific research, and runners have healthier knees than non-runners. Even people who run long times, professional marathon runners, people who run marathons to late age have better knees than people who don't run.
Interesting.
Our body is not a machine. It doesn't wear the same way. It's actually exactly opposite. You use it or you lose it. So the things that you do, the things that you use get stronger. Everything, there's always risk if you do things wrong. Well, we talked about that last time, and I think that's basically it. This is kind of the mental model I would like people to have. Don't compare yourself to a car that eventually breaks down. It's kind of exactly the opposite based on research. The biggest thing to keep running is to remove friction. A lot of experienced runners say that the toughest part is putting on your shoes. Once your shoes are on, you go for a run. And it sounds very, very stupid or strange, but the just putting your running shoes in front of the door the day before removes the friction of go and get them from downstairs or try to find where they are, or everything. Just removing the friction. I heard some runners talking about going to bed with running shoes. I think that's a bit extreme. But in general, just figuring out where the small minor frictions are to the point that you go out the door. And that enables this kind of habit consistency going on. There's some things about gear. So here we go back to gear. So these are things that I'd recommend you looking next, not now, but next things to do. Especially where you live in the UK, a rain jacket is something that will remove rain. But what you don't do is buy a traditional plastic rain jacket, because running with that is just extremely annoying because it makes you sweaty inside. There's very, very specific running rain jackets which let the moisture go out. It never 100% because you need to keep water out, so there's some layers always. But they feel different. If you go to a running store and want to look for a rain jacket, firstly, they're very, very light. They are jackets that keep wind and rain out. If you're in heavy storm for 2 hours, they will let water through. And that's just the kind of what they are. There are things that are meant for ultra running and mountain running that are then the next level, but they then cost 300, 400 euros. We don't need to go there yet. But this is a place where I would, again, one of those places where I wouldn't save money, because what it does, it removes an obstacle. Rain isn't the problem. Actually, I quite enjoy running in rain because there's no people around. It's not hot. It's perfectly fine if you don't get wet at the top. Pants doesn't matter. My pants can get wet. Shorts doesn't matter. Shoes will get wet anyways. No point worrying about it. But having the jacket on prevents wind coming in. So what I do in the winter, I put a thicker shirt. You can talk about my funny purchase of shirt, but I put a thicker shirt under and then the raincoat. So I did. This is I bought because this was on discount. I own a shirt that is USB powered and USB battery heated.
Nice.
And I wouldn't have bought it if it wasn't in discount. It was in discount. So I thought, okay, at least I will gonna get a good sweater. But it turns out it's actually really, really good. So it kind of have a small battery pack that they put on and you control it with an app. You put the temperature that you want to have. And when you go out the door, it heats your body up, but it turns off the heating once you warm up. So you don't get sweaty in the long run. That's kind of the problem of if you put a lot of clothes on, you're nice, you're comfortable for 10 minutes, and then you're very uncomfortable afterwards. And this is what leads me to the things that I piled up here, the things I really like. The best thing to buy is running gloves. These are Salomon, but there's many. They're super, super thin, like you see in here. These I bought 4 years ago, and you never have to buy new pairs. And they work with the phone because they have this thing. It's probably the most versatile item to have. So I quite often go out for a run in t-shirt and gloves, which sounds stupid, but it's good because when your fingers are comfortable, you feel much more comfortable.
Yeah.
And these are so easy to get off. So once you warm it up, you just put them in the pocket, and there goes this tiny, tiny thing. So this is one of those things that I think you should keep your eyes open for a discount. The other thing I don't go without is a buff, because that's another one. So I'm paranoid of getting sick, so I use buff a lot. But what I do, for example, in 2 days when it's really warm, then you just rotate it and put it on your wrist, and then you don't have to wear it, and it doesn't. And I actually dunk this in the water to cool myself down as well. And the third thing that I've never used before, these look like something else, but these are arm warmers. So the way they make your t-shirt into a long sleeve one.
Interesting.
And again, this is because this is for versatility. So you go for a run, and then when you're warm, you just do this, and now you have a t-shirt. And especially in the mountains, this is super important, because mountains, you climb up, you go down, might be summer, and then it might be winter on the other side of the mountain. So having something like this with you,
that's cool.
Is good.
In
mountain races, these are mandatory.
Where do you put it? Where do you put them when you take them off? Have you got a bag?
So there's a thing called, I don't have it here, but there's a thing called running belt, which might be I think UK has this brand called Naked, which seems to be extremely popular. I haven't found it here. I have a Salomon one. It's not as good. It's one of my very first purchases. It's basically a stretchy. It's more like this than an actual belt, and you put it on your hips, and it has small pockets, and it's tight enough that nothing bounces around. So you can put your car keys and your wallet in it. And what I also have is this size water bottle, so I can put just tiny. It's just like 2 zips of water, which is usually enough. So those running belts might be a good investment as well, but they need to be exactly right size, because they need to be tight enough but not squeeze. So that's what I do. In the mountains, of course, I have running vests, so I put them there. But in general, for my gloves, I just hold them in my hands. It doesn't, that's not a problem. So yeah, this and rain jacket would be the one I would keep my eyes on. Find a good discount. I can give you recommendations of some of the jackets. They might be 150 euros, but they're again good for everything else as well. You can use where you go out with the dog. It's not just for running. So that's kind of the next step of removing friction. So some of the friction you can remove with money. Some of them is just practices, and some of them is just, figuring how to do it. So when I started, I went to run always after 10 o'clock in the evening, because that was the only time I had control. I had two small children, first one and then another one. And when kids are small, that was very, very difficult to find time. So I had a deal with my wife that I will go. If there's a panic, you call me. I always went around the house or nearby.
Yeah.
So I was, maximum 10 minutes away. And that allowed me to create a routine. Now I don't do that so much anymore. I kind of find different times, but however it works for you, whatever, it's very personal. Some people like routine, some people don't, but that's kind of it. And here's I added also one reading recommendation. This is probably the best book about exercise I've read. It's called Exercised,
Okay.
which is also a play on the word for English speakers. For me, it was news that you can use the same word for multiple different ways, but it's explained in the book, so it was good. So it's basically a bit of an evolutionary look on how humans react to exercise, and naturally we've not evolved to exercise. Exercise exactly the opposite what we evolved to do. Once we're done with our work, we don't do anything, because that would be damaging for our survival in before fridge era. Now our hunting is going to supermarkets. That's different. So
True.
that's it. But this gives you what it did to me listening to this book. It made me feel bad, not less bad about the fact that I don't want to go for an exercise, because that's normal. We naturally don't want to go. And it gave me understanding why I also should go. It's not a book that tells you shouldn't exercise. It just tells you why you don't want to. It's a good, well-researched.
Talking about books, Johanni, I actually bought the endurance book. I haven't. It's I actually can start going through it today. So it will be my start. Yeah.
Really, it's a very kind of interesting look at the science of endurance in general.
I also started, but I got interrupted, so I didn't finish. I started watching a TED talk about endurance by. He's like an American guy, spent a lot of time in Norway.
And I know that one. He's the guy who pushed this Zone 2 idea. He talks about this fact that he went to Norway and looked what's at Norwegians walking up hills and going.
That's it. That's it. That's it. That's the bit I got to, and he was like, "What the hell are they doing walking up the hill?"
Yeah.
I'll listen to more of these things. I'm sure what I'm going to find very quickly is that, one set of scientists say this thing, the other ones say this thing, and then you're left in the middle like, ooh, what do I do? So you'll guide me, I'm sure.
There's a lot, yes. That's a lot. But this guy is very kind of fundamentally changed the way we learned. And a lot of the stuff I talked to you last about the Zone 2 training comes from him and his research.
Okay.
And that part is actually quite well established. There's a very little controversy there. Some people say run faster to get faster, but that's fine. You're not there yet to run faster yet. So, but yeah, it's a good TED talk, really good. Also kind of frames the whole thing. So let's talk about weight and losing weight. The bad news about this is that probably starting running will make you gain weight first. I discourage anybody watching start running to lose weight. It will eventually probably result to losing weight, but if that's your goal, you might not be able to follow through the required level that you need. I pulled a lot of data. Mm-hmm. This is my history. So I've had a smart scale since 2015. So the orange graph is my weight graph, and the thicker green bars are my running, which is average hours per week. And you can see here, I did running before here, and then I did here. This is literally my running before. It's quite funny. This is one Wittins and Garmin. And
I do remember probably as around the 2017 time, noticing you. I mean, you got into running around then. I believe I seem to remember that. Not in this intensity, but you were doing a lot more exercise. I can remember.
I was doing
and
exercise,
I noticed that
running.
Drop from 92, where it must be that 86 or something, was really noticeable visually when I saw you at that time.
Yeah, so that's probably true. Yeah, these running things here are basically 3 or 4 kilometers. This is, I tried to go run with Dave from
That's
our
right.
colleague. I completely failed. He was way faster. And my failure here was the failures I tried to teach other people to avoid, which is basically go all in and hating it.
Yeah.
Then here, this is January 1st. This year I'm going to start running. That was January 1st. Nothing happened since. The other ones, these are the lighter gray ones, are cycling. Green ones are cycling.
Right.
So the dark one here is running, and this is cycling. Now the cycling history is not really full. Some of them are clearly missing. But 2020, when Corona started, I bought my e-bike, and I started to cycle every day to office, which is up 6 kilometers total. So that turned into quite a good cycling. So that it gave me kind of like a foundation of fitness. While it was e-bike, it's still cycling.
Right.
So I think it was 20 minutes one direction, 40 minutes every day. So that clearly changed this, and that was already the time where I started to lose weight because just my e-bike. And here is basically when I started running 2022 May for the first time. And this is the level of consistency. Here is this is a December where I was sick and very stressed. So this is the kind of the low point of my running, but I got back into it quite soon. And what I said about generally weight, running and exercise has this impact on you that it makes you want to eat much more.
Right.
So you will notice that you start eating more to balance the lost energy. And if you don't pay attention to it, you will just eat even more than before. You might gain weight out of it. But that might not be a bad thing, in the sense that just trying to lose weight, you have to starve a little bit. And starving is not compatible with gaining a fitness. So you can't do both at the same time. Professional athletes have a weight cycle that they go through. So basically at the end of the season, they stop exercise and they eat quite a bit more. They gain quite a bit weight. And then when the new season starts, at the very start of the season, they use that to lose the weight back. And then they start gaining fitness again. So what they don't do is that they don't try to lose the weight over the whole time and gain fitness at the same time, because you need to eat to recover. If you don't eat enough to recover, you can't go for the next run. So the way to think about as health journey is to focus first on the gaining fitness. And once you gain fitness, you can lose weight, because now you can do 2-hour runs that you weren't able to do before. And that's a very good way to burn fat. We're going to go maybe next time, we can talk about how muscles work and how the energy in the muscles actually is converted into movement, and where the fuel comes from, sugars and fat and so on. That's a good way to get understanding, but maybe that's not for today. But this is basically what I'd say. The biggest drop of my weight probably in here was me changing completely the way I eat. If you want to lose weight, you have to make a change into your habit of eating. So that's what I'd say. There's a correlation probably losing weight, but to me, the biggest impact was that me running changed my habits in the food side. So my alcohol consumption went to maybe 10% of what it was before. I'd say in Finland, I probably would have been classified as an alcoholic. In Germany, it was normal. But yeah, I drink less, not because I don't want to. I was never addicted before either, but it's more because I didn't feel like I want to drink because I want to go for a run. That's just more. My wife complains to me I don't drink enough anymore. So that's she says I'm boring because I'm not drinking. But
nice.
So I think this kind of it.
I would say you're boring for other reasons, but anyway, I'll talk to her and we can exchange notes.
Yeah, that's good. But yeah, so that's why that's not so much for you, Jasper. It's more about anybody watching saying if you get into this goal of weight loss, fine, but don't expect it to happen immediately. Also, an interesting research so what we do as humans when we sit we kind of fidget around a little bit, we move and all of this. When you spend a lot of energy, you automatically stop all of that. So actually going for a run for half an hour, it stops for you from spending the energy afterwards. So you might spend the same amount of energy. In general, the weight loss will come from the long runs. Then once you're capable of doing 2 hours, 3 hours runs, then you start seeing big impact. But even before that, your body structure is going to start changing. So your body will replace fat with muscle. So even if you stay in the same level, you might see visual change, you might feel better, and it's already, well, now you have healthy parts instead of things.
And this is what I wanted to ask you is weight. For me, weight is never really a good measure of health, right? I mean, of course, if you're way huge, like 200 kilos, that was probably, there's no kind of height that would, maybe even more. There's no kind of size that would make 200 kilos good. But there must be kind of other things like body mass, sort of your body fats you're carrying around, whatever body mass index or whatever that is. That must be a more interesting measure.
Yeah, for sure. And I have a scales that measures it for me. I'm a little bit skeptical of accuracy of the absolute value, but I think the change is reliable.
Right.
I think my fat percentage went from 27, 28 to 20-ish. That's kind of guesstimate based on the scales. I don't know what the absolute value, but that's kind of the drop. I feel much healthier in that, but I'm still, middle-aged old man. I don't have a six-pack, that's not how it works at this age anymore.
Yeah.
And that's also not my goal. But I when I go to the beach and go swim, I don't have to be embarrassed either, which is, it's good. I also don't care.
I'm already looking forward to my sauna time this summer. But then I think if I go to sauna, then I need to look like the right kind of guy that goes to sauna. So I'm going to tick that box.
That's it. But here's basically, we're not gonna go too deep into food either, but it's kind of good to understand the structure of food. And I'm not telling you anything you don't know, but the idea of eating carbs, sugars before run gives you energy, loads your body muscles ready to be running. After run, protein to repair the damage. That's kind of it. Supplements are not needed. The supplement industry is pretty full of shit, so much so that they started their own scientific journal where they research and publish articles. The excuse was that they don't have time to wait for the science to come out.
Of course,
that just means you're full of shit. All of this AG stuff, there's very little research proving that they work. The two supplements that are proven to work is creatine and protein, just protein powder. The reason they work pretty much is because they're cheap. Nobody's making a shit ton of money out of them.
Yeah.
Creatine doesn't really help running performance as such, but it has effect on your brain. And there's some science saying that might help in recovery.
Okay.
But it also increases your weight because it makes your body soak more water. It's a water weight in your body. So what I do in 2 weeks before a race, I stop using creatine because I don't want to carry the 2 kilos of water in my muscles up the hill. But otherwise, I tend to use it. I use protein supplements intermediately, basically when I feel that I didn't eat enough protein, or if I have heavy workout. If I go for a 6-hour run or have really heavy strength workout, I tend to take a supplement. But that again is not necessary at all. All the other supplements, everything else, just fully ignore. Okay. Absolutely not needed. We can talk about fueling the runs. Then once you go past 1 hour, up to 1 hour, you never have to take anything with you. You never need to eat. Your body can't use any of that energy within 1 hour. Even drinking is not needed in 1 hour unless it's very, very hot. But otherwise, up to 1 hour runs, you don't have to take anything with you. And afterwards, as long as you have healthy diet, that's all you need to do. This book again here is called The Diet Myth. It's similar than exercise. This is an extremely good take on how our bodies use food. And it's again like it's kind of exposing the myths that are like just simple calorie counting and things like that might not be fully accurate. It goes through what kind of things you can think about. It talks a lot about our microbiome in our body and what helps, what doesn't, and how almost all diet programs have been proven not to work. The only one that seems to have benefit is intermediate fasting, which I know you've done in the past.
Yeah,
because it kind of helps your gut recover. So it's a really interesting book if you want to get into how do I actually, if I want to lose weight and if I actually want to stay healthy and supplement your running with healthy food choices. It's a very good and like a sober take without any sponsors. It doesn't try to sell you any supplements, which is a good sign.
I think it's maybe like you said on the other side, correlation, not causation. Over the last week, actually, I've been eating less. It's really weird. I quite like fasting. I quite enjoy it. And I'm not in a fasting kind of thing at the moment, but I just noticed myself, whereas I would have kind of gone and had something, I'm actually just listened to myself a little bit more and like, oh, actually, I don't really need anything. So I think that's
I know you tried intermittent fasting before as well, and because you already have this kind of experience, they might be kind of interesting. Because when we go more to how muscles use energy, I think it's in the endurance book as well. They had this sample there, but they said it's possible to teach your body to consume more fat than carbs.
Yeah.
But it comes from a very hard training. They talked about the explorers in South Pole and things like that happen. But there's an interesting workout, which I think you might find interesting. Not yet, but later on, where it's kind of fasted state running. Basically, you don't eat your supper and you go for a run in the morning before you eat anything, just have an espresso, nothing else.
Yeah.
And then you go in a state where your body doesn't have enough carbs, so it starts to consume fat instead. That's not for weight loss or fat loss as such. It's more about learning a different thing to do. And then when you come back, eat. So with fasting and running, the important thing is never to try fasting after an exercise. Always recover after. So the wrong thing to do is to run and not to eat, because then you can't run again.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. I think the key thing for me right now is I think it's super easy to have all of these other kind of like goals, or maybe we call them like side quests in other fields that you and I kind of hang out in, right? But these supplementary goals you hang on top of the main goal, and then suddenly you kind of lose focus. So I'm going to definitely not do that. I mean, if I want to do a bit of fasting, I'll do it to feel good, but I won't do it as a combination. Maybe once I've got the running habit, and once that's bedded in, then I can start thinking about those things.
Yeah, I'd say only thing about takeaway for food and this time is to make sure you have enough carbs before the run. Having a banana half an hour before, or having some fruits 1 hour before. Rice and pasta, white pasta is very good source for carbs, but they also have a lot of it. Yeah. So if half an hour run, you don't need that. But if you plan to do much longer, that's a good way to load a little bit. But it's just grab a banana or something just before, because you will feel better when you don't run out of energy.
Yeah.
And then afterwards, doesn't really matter. Cross training, the last topic, we kind of touched this last time a little bit. There's a lot of research gone into this side as well. We're gonna figure out where we're gonna head together later on. You get good at what you do, but at this point, your goal is not to smash 5K personal best. The goal is to get into running. Yeah. So you're cycling or swimming. If you feel like I don't want to go for a run and you go for a bike ride, that's at this point is equally beneficial. The point is to get your aerobic system to be able to handle workouts. Cycling and swimming are great because they have no impact. Cycling has a bit more impact, a bit more strain, but swimming has basically zero impact. It's very difficult to get injured in swimming other than shoulders, I guess. So it's another one of those things. If you feel a little bit of something, okay, my muscles are hurting, or I have a little bit pain here, play it safe and go for a swim instead, and don't count it as a loss. They talk about like consistency context there. It's very okay to replace a run with cycling or swimming session if you have like a niggle somewhere you're a little bit afraid of trying to do. But I think this is all that we really want to go into the cross training area in general. Yeah, that's a quick thank to the sponsor. This is my Friday exercise coming, which is the Zugspitze Ultra, and this is my kind of comparison for my last year's training. I've been training much more climbing here. That's it. That's all I had. Basically, those 2 book recommendations. Think about gloves. Eat healthy. Eat carbs before. Don't worry about switching to a swim or run cycling session if you can't do a run. If the weather is so shit you don't want to go out. Something is better than nothing, and that's basically it.
Makes a lot of sense.
So I think next time we might have a third participant. We have one of our colleagues starting as well. So let's hope we can bring Julie as well into one of our chats.
Next time, these are going to be too dirty to put on my desk, so you're not going to see these again probably. That's it.
Hope so.
If I hold them up to you like this next time, you know that something's gone wrong.
Something's gone wrong. Yeah. Cool. Then good luck. The next one. And,
thanks. Yeah. Cheers, Johanny. Yeah. Bye.